My guest today is Zion Kim. He is the founder of 1MT. It's a digital venture studio, as well as Atlas Assistants, where he helps people find their dream executive assistants and VAs. Zion launched his first company at 19, making custom clothing for students. And while at that endeavor, it earned him the prestigious Rutgers University Entrepreneur Award. It also taught him exactly how not to build a business. Today, Zion and his team at 1MT help entrepreneurs to feel fulfilled by their work in the world. He is on a mission to support 1,000 online companies who are focused on changing their relationship to their work so that they can do more of what they love.
Welcome to the Mary Dee Show. I'm your host, Mary Dee, here to be your guide as we extract wisdom and life lessons from top CEOs, thought leaders, artists, spiritual luminaries, and wellness experts. My intention is to bring you value in every show that sparks an idea, helps you break a limiting belief, or encourages you to create thoughts that up-level your life so that you can know from the deepest parts of your soul that everything you want is available to you and that abundance is your birthright. In 2018, I healed from breast cancer holistically after surgery without the use of chemotherapy or pharmaceuticals. I love biohacking and plant medicine and exploring spirituality and what it means to be in relationship with spirit so that we can feel whole and complete no matter what life throws at us. My specialty in the business world is strategy and leadership, and my gift to each of you is my ability to listen so that I can help others see themselves. In each episode, I want to sprinkle you with some hope dust, tickle your funny bone, and inspire you to find your inner roar. Get ready to live your most aligned, purposeful, and joy-filled life now, and enjoy the show.
Welcome to the show. It's amazing to have you on. I am super excited to have you as my guest today. Talk to me about 2023. What do you have coming up? What's new? And what are you most excited about?
Everything's new. Everything's new. There's actually seemingly not much in my life that doesn't feel new. This is a massive transitionary phase of life, as you know. I have a baby on the way in February, baby girl named Zaya. We just moved to Lisbon almost exactly a month ago. So that's very new. I just finished my immigration process. I'm about to come back to the States to get my visa stamped. So that's new. So we actually decided we're going to stay here for 5 years. So we can just get the residency, get the passport. And I think after we spent all this time furnishing the house, we're like, let's give it a couple more years to really milk this thing for the level of effort and intention that we really put into the space. New country, new environment, new time zone, and new identities, just in terms of what I get to step into all around. It's been a massive shift in just being able to, just be with all of it and just to really surrender to the unfolding of everything that's been coming forth here.
Yes, I love it. Talk to me about the process of deciding on a place like Portugal, and then talk to me about how you settle in. Like, I feel like you had so much community in both San Diego, Austin, and all the places you've been. So how do you land in a foreign country and find community? Like, how does that show up for you?
One of the things that I have a lot of confidence in is that wherever I go, I know that I cultivate the community around me. So the fear does not necessarily come from, will I be able to have community, as much as, the differences are, does a density of epic humans exist in a certain area of place, right? Because without the people, without the interactions, of course, the community is never going to really come together. But in terms of facilitating and bringing the community together, I have high confidence no matter where I go. That I'll really be able to serve as a pillar for that community. And it's already started happening here. And what's really beautiful is, the day that we made the decision, which a lot of it had to do with immigration, which catalyzed it at first because, Renata, my partner, is a Brazilian and Canadian citizen. And, coming into the States, if she came in on a tourist visa, not to bore everyone with the details, but it counts as like dual intent. So basically she couldn't work and would have all these travel restrictions and everything. So we were just recommended by multiple lawyers say, hey, you know what, you should probably apply for this outside the States. So we were in Lisbon at the time. And, I just looked at her and said, hey, what about Lisbon? Like, how does Lisbon feel for you? Right. Because we did already know some people here. Lisbon's a new Austin. Lisbon's like the Austin of Europe, right? Like there's so many people here, but the biggest difference that I noticed is the global conversation, right? Like everyone in Austin, when I lived there, was from different parts of the US, right? Whereas everyone here in Lisbon is from everywhere else in the world, right? And that to me was very exciting because I actually desired a European chapter of my life because I was born in London, right? But I never actually lived here. I'd be speaking with people from Saudi Arabia and Hungary and Germany and, different parts of South America and, London, so it's all this massive range of people. So I just thought, okay, well, what would life be like, right? To be in this conversation where, people are really talking about like, well, I travel from here to here to here, and they're talking about different countries, not different states. And, so from a cultural perspective, I feel like it really gave me a different opportunity to really shape my lens. Yeah, I feel that I really got to really experience America, right? Like I got to really see different places and lived in a couple different places, and I really enjoyed it. Yeah, so there's a new chapter, right? So I was really pumped for it.
I love this. I love Lisbon for you. I think it's super exciting. I can't wait to come see.
Oh my God, yeah.
I miss having you in my backyard. I will say that. I miss the gatherings and the get-togethers. Those are always so epic. They'll just be slightly different with me, hopping over the pond to have to visit you this time.
Oh yeah, you'll love it. The people here are incredible, and the density here is growing. Right, cool. It is really growing with truly remarkable people. And it's beyond anything I imagined. And so I'm already quite excited for it.
That's so good. Super juicy. I love that. So talk to me about your new chapter with Atlas Assistants. I know that you help busy executives find their dream VA. And you gave me these like 5 tips on what you consider the things that you wish you had known that when you were younger, right? So the question I like to ask folks is, what do you know now that you wish you had known before you started your business? You gave me 5 really great tips. And let's touch on the first one, which was don't try to do too much at one time. So that seems super obvious, but like break that down for me. How do you notice people trying to do too much at one time? Like, what are some examples of that?
Well, it's the paradox of growth. A lot of people believe that in order to grow, you need more. Which logically makes sense, right? And it's actually quite counterintuitive and very paradoxical to realize that multiplication and amplification actually happens through simplification and through actually doing less. With this business, it became very clear to me that I want to be driven by product that drives the marketing, not necessarily the other way around, because I've done both before, where we had really great marketing and sales, and then we had to really have the product catch up to it. But this time we had time, right? And it's funny because we had the time, but the only timeline that I'm fighting against is the one of my daughter's arrival. But outside of that, I felt that my urgency was quite low for it, right? So I think that's the very first thing is really simplify what we're doing and just make sure that we get something that we're doing right and do it really, really well. Because what a lot of people also don't understand is that if you're not doing one thing incredibly well and you start multiple products and you're doing all them poorly, well, especially for a service-based company, you want to think about, and even for a products-based company or whatever it is, you want to think about the experience, right? And cultivating the different units of experience all throughout. That's everything from all the touch points, right? So it's onboarding, the service delivery, all the multiple milestones and touch points of service delivery, and how you're really bringing that all together. And then you have how you're going to sell that product, how you're going to market that product, and all the different funnels for marketing that product. And you have all the operations for that product. So when you then think about the nuance and the subtlety across all those different pillars of business, and you multiply that by the amount of products that you have, your problems start to become quite heavy, right? And I don't think a lot of people truly appreciate how much it takes to do one thing really extraordinarily well. And for me, the fun in business was doing new things. Where the biggest contrast I had to learn is, can I build this to the point where I am so freaking bored of looking at the same thing over and over again? Because at that point, I know that I've actually invested the right time and space.
Yeah, I was with an entrepreneur this weekend, and he was telling me how he's started 80 different projects, specifically in the music world, but he's not been able to take any of them over the finish line. And in my mind, I was thinking, wow, 80 projects. Like, what if you just sat with one of them and just actually took it over the finish line? Then you could be like, 1 out of 80, knocked it out. But what is that, Zion? Like, is it like a shiny ball syndrome? What is the distraction? Is it just being having so many ideas that you just start one and then hop on to the next? Like, how do you rein all that in?
Yeah, what I think it is for a lot of entrepreneurs is there's the excitement of new, right? The excitement of getting something new off the ground is a different type of energy, a different level of consideration, and a different level of care that it takes to continue to work on something and work on the same problem and reach a level of depth in that problem. When you're launching a solution to a problem or you're actually working on something, it's the most unrefined, right? You just have to get a solution out there and you're actually praised, and it actually makes more sense for it to be just put together just enough to make sure that you have, like the MVP stage of something, right? Like you just have to make sure it's good enough. But the moment that you have to go a little bit deeper, what ends up happening is there's an attachment to your identity that also, I think, starts to come into play, especially if the stakes get higher, right? So if you're actually doing something for a lot longer, the stakes actually get a lot higher. And this actually starts to become a true reflection of you. And especially if your identity is reflected as, hey, I'm successful based on if this thing is successful. And I think that's also really scary for some people.
Totally.
And I think the other side of it is like, do you actually want it enough? Like, do you actually care enough? Do you actually want it enough for this thing to exist in the world? And I think for a lot of people, that answer is also no.
Thank you for joining us on today's show. I hope that today's session inspires you to live an aligned life where you get to take complete ownership of your feelings and decisions to live in your truth. You can connect with me more at www.maryd.com. You can also catch us on YouTube at The Mary Dee Show. Head on over to Instagram and Facebook and type in @TheMaryD and just look for the little blue check to ensure you're on my official page.